here we are back with ForeverFootballShow.com. We were just talking about the Sounders and the players. I'm actually going to bring up something that, this is a little bit about the tactics of the Sounders and so on. We've watched the Sounders try to play 4-4-2, 4-3-3. And at the same time, we've seen that the most successful teams in the World Cup, they were teams like Germany, Spain, Brazil, even Portugal, even the U.S. in certain occasions. It seems that the most modern way to play is the 4-2-3-1. I would like to see the Sounders playing like that.
Same.
And
Agreed. Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Because I think we have players to do. Imagine, our line of defense as is with Riley, Leo, with our mid. Hopefully with Tado coming back soon, Marshall, and then we have Alonso and Evans, who are players who can do the protection, but also distribute and start to play well.
And distribution, yeah.
And then you have Kufo or Jakwa up front as the one, and then at the 3 level you would play maybe with Lundberg and Zakuani, sometimes Nayasi, and you put Montero in that position, playing like how a Kaká plays, obviously keeping the right proportions of comparison, but playing facing the goal and not with the back to the goal.
And I think that's important. I think something else that could be especially dynamic about that is with Zakuani, Montero, and Ljungberg all in there. Really, all 3 of those players can play in those spots.
They can swap positions.
Yeah, they can swap, and I mean that can be awful for the opposing defenses, just because they're all 3 of them are very different players, and those defenders would be having to be dealing with 3 totally different types of players all throughout the game, kind of keeping them on their toes. And,
I agree.
And Montero has actually done really well with his service from the outside, as we've seen of late. So I think him playing on the outside, coming in, but also serving those balls for Kufo or Jakwa to head in would. I think
it's a more balanced tactic distribution, and that will give more security to our defense, because we've been having difficulty. In the last year, people said that we have difficulties attacking. I think that now we are having difficulties all over the place, and are more balanced with 4 lines of play would give a little bit more balance to the team.
I agree with you, and I'm a fan of tactic, but one thing I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter what system you play, a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3, you have technique comes before tactics. And there is so many mistakes that it's been done because of little things that we Brazilians know, because we train it a lot when we were a kid. I mean, I've seen players receiving the ball by himself and not being able to keep the ball and running out with the ball at the line. This is not properly done.
That's actually something that reminds me when Barcelona played here. Both Guardiola and Ziggy Smith, they gave the press conference interview in separate. But interestingly enough, they both said the same thing. The Barcelona players, you know that when a player comes to that level, they've already been tested and certified in every single step of their career. So they reach professional level knowing the fundamentals absolutely right.
Of course.
And I think that we have some players that don't manage the fundamentals.
It doesn't matter what tactic you're going to put. If you don't know how to control a ball, if you don't know when you get to the end of the line that ball needs to be crossed in that spot, in that area. I mean, Miguel Montano today is a good player, and he's young, got so many times to the end of the line, but when the cross came there was not one crossing productive. All right, I mean,
nobody there,
and nobody there either. Nobody made a run either. So I mean, we can talk about the attacks all day long, but if you don't have the players to do it, you don't have players with technique to do the tactic that we're going to put on that board, and we're going to read and make it happen. It's kind of hard. If I have to teach you those players the technique first, so we got to start thinking about better players with better technique, and then let's talk about tactics.
Yep. And I think that's again, we were talking about the question to management. I think management has to start scratching their heads about the investment that they're going to make in the team, especially because today we only had 45,000. Every other friendly that we had in Quest Field, we always sold out with 65,000. So.
See, I think that's a unique challenge that we face in MLS is the salary cap. I think the owners that we have are very willing to invest in the team. Only the league is restricting that, and I think as far as fundamentals go, I think that's a challenge throughout the MLS. I don't think that's just the Sounders, but in terms of the friendly, I think I think it's our team selection this year of who we're playing more than and obviously our success in the league and whatnot is influencing that as well. But as far as investing in the team, I don't think that's necessarily as impactful, I guess, as who we're playing. Boca, I mean,
Boca came with a third team.
We mentioned that. Yeah, I mean, not
yeah.
a lot of people are going to be interested in that. Celtic, I mean, there's a little more interest, but it's still it's not a Manchester United.
Even though like Celtic is where all youngsters, you could see there are people that are being tested. I mean, they're not at that level. I can tell you, you've seen Celtics play, they're not at that level. And the Boca, like we said, Boca has come over here with the fourth string. The guys were watching baseball the day before, hanging out at 1 o'clock in the morning.
You just mentioned baseball players. You just mentioned Celtic is not a Manchester. That brings to another point. Well, last year we had Barcelona and Chelsea. We see a team like the Red Bulls playing Juventus, Santos. They will eventually this week they play Tottenham and Manchester City. What do you think? Do you think that our friendlies were easier so that we could beat them and win? Or for the entertainment value, we actually ended up losing for not having the real big teams coming?
I'm not really sure for the reasoning for the friendlies. Celtic has been one that's come to Seattle quite a few times in the past, and there's always been a large support for Celtic here in Seattle. But in terms of, I was really surprised with Boca Juniors. I mean, maybe they were trying to appeal to another fan base, but if they were, I think it was more or less a failure.
I agree. In any event, so talking about friendlies, we have a series of great games coming up this week with the Red Bulls playing Tottenham, Manchester City. Eventually, we also have the Manchester United doing their tour around the U.S. By the way, Manchester City actually just played Portland yesterday. They beat 1-0. Goal of Joe, the Brazilian Joe. We have Manchester United in a tour. They will play. They'll play the All-Star. They'll play the All-Star game on July 28th, and they have a bunch of other teams. They'll play Philadelphia actually. Mm-hmm. So quite a treat for the new soccer team in the MLS. Any calls for the result of that game? Manchester United or Philadelphia? Who do you think is going to win?
It depends with what Manchester United is going to put out there. Of course, I don't think Manchester United is going to put its first string, but if it puts the first string, it could be 3, 4, even 5. It depends on how those players are going to push it too. I mean, they're coming here more for a vacation than to play soccer, and I know that.
I disagree, because this is their pre-season. They have to start getting in shape.
Well, yeah.
They're not on vacation. They are not on
Well, the big stars are. The big stars are not going to play. They're going to play. They're going to test people. They're going to put people out there to see how they do. And you won't see Rooney playing too much. A couple of guys.
But maybe. I'm really looking forward for the All-Star game. The All-Star game we have traditionally played well against the Premier League teams. Last year, actually, we lost in the penalty kicks to first loss exactly. Lundberg missed the penalty kick. Because of his migraines. I actually don't blame him. Yeah. I don't think he should have been played, and he played at 120 minutes plus the penalty kicks with a migraine. Yeah. That was pretty bad, and actually messed up with the following games that he came back to play for the Sounders as well. But talking about friendlies, there is one more friendly that I wanted to mention. Today in Brazil, Deco, who's leaving Chelsea and in negotiation to play for Fluminense in Brazil, Deco played organized a friendly game for charity. It was Deco's and his friends against the rest of the world. Messi was there, Rocky Jr., Careca, the Brazilian player who played with Maradona in Napoli in the 80s. Quite a fist. Yeah, Filippo would have loved to be there, right? So it was the game ended up 3-3. Messi didn't score any goals and got a yellow card. Ronaldo also showed up. He didn't play, but showed up with his son to get an autograph from Messi. But quite a treat for the Brazilian fans who were.
Where was the game played?
In São Paulo.
In São Paulo. Okay.
Yeah. In any event, that was Deco's production.
Next time we're gonna be Alberto's friend.
There we go.
Friends of Alberto against
Messi's friends.
Messi's friends.
So yeah, sign up at our website, become my friend in Facebook, and maybe I'll invite you for this match. At least that's the prediction of Thiago Silva here. We'll be back in just a second with more Forever Football Show.